I'm always excited for guest speakers because you get to hear directly from them what's working, what's not working, where you should prioritize your time. And I'm especially excited today because we have James Michener on the call with Realty One Group Mountain Desert, which is super, super exciting. He's been very successful in this industry, and I can't wait to dive in and learn what you've done prospecting, your advice on what we should do to finish the year strong. We believe we're nearing 3 months left, like insanity. And then we got the new year coming up. So things to prepare, what's working, what's not. But before we dive in, since Jeff brought it up, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Rock University, I'm going to throw this in the chat box here. And you know what? I haven't done a giveaway in a while, or have followed through with a giveaway maybe. So let's give a look at stuff popping on there. I'm gonna give away two $50 Rock University or Rockstar Shop gift cards. You basically just tell me what you want on there, up to $50, and I will get that delivered over to you. So if you want to go in, please, please, please subscribe. It helps the overall cause. My sanity. Click on that link, click subscribe. And at the end of this call, you guys cannot let me forget. You are my accountability partners. I try to keep you accountable. You got to keep me accountable. So before we jump off, I will just randomly pick, I'll do a little spinny thing or something and randomly pick two of you or do a little contest, and you guys can. Thank you, Angela. Appreciate that. And we'll do a little giveaway there. But let's go ahead and dive in. I'm going to stop this share because we're really not going to do a training deck today. This is, like what I said, an open discussion. So let me change this view. Open discussion on what has worked for James. We're going to get a little bit of background on him, some prospecting strategies that are working, and all that good stuff. So open discussion. If you guys have questions as we're going along, throw it in the chat box, unmute yourself. I want this to be very interactive so we can learn from someone who has been through a lot of it. So James, before we actually dive into the meat and potatoes of what they want to hear, can you give us a little bit of backstory? Like, when did you decide that you wanted to get in this industry? Maybe some tribulations that you've had, ups and downs, all the way leading up to today.
Yeah. First, I need to give a shout out to Jeff Hoover and Rochelle for being super awesome, and thank you. And all my team members are on this as well. So thank you, guys. I got into real estate. I got my license a little over a decade ago. I took a year off and traveled, taught English in Taiwan for summer, and then worked on a farm in Montana, and then decided, hey, it's time to settle down and put this real estate license to the test and see what we can do. So jumped in, got going, and I started off like everybody does when you have trainers or brokers, whatnot, like, hey, talk to your sphere of influence, start a Facebook page, like do open houses. So I did that for 3 months and I made $0 and I had 0 escrows. And I had another coach that said, James, you need to sit your butt in a chair and just dial for 3 hours, 4 hours, do what you need to get those leads going, and that'll change your whole life. So what did I do? I waited another 60 days before I was going to do that. And then finally I'm like, okay, I'll start doing the dials. So I did that. And then from July 1st to the end of the year, I closed 26 deals, a lot through prospecting and getting my name out there. And then from there, I just kept doubling my income to where for commissions and whatnot, I've made over $1 million a year for the past 3-4 years. And throughout the last 5 years, I've diversified through loaning private money. I own 26 rental properties, fix and flips, a lot of stuff in the real estate realm. Because the way I look at it is real estate's a great highway, right? And you can have five lanes or as many lanes as you want. My lanes are commission, rentals, fix and flips, hard money, and there's one more. Oh, wholesale as well. So all those flow on the same highway. And when I'm doing my prospecting calls, I might as well throw that stuff in there as well, which has helped diversify my income and increase it as well, which I've been super happy with.
Yeah, that's quite a story. I mean, that's a huge.
Yeah, and I came from nothing. Like I don't have rich parents. I had a single mom. We were on food stamps and state health care and everything. So I came up, and just like a lot of people, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. So, and I got one girl on here, one of my team members, that left her W-2 job and came here, and now she's doubled her income. She broke the $100,000 mark, and she's killing it. So
That's awesome. Who was that? Do you mind asking?
Yep.
Just personally. Who?
Dusty Tillery.
Oh,
Yeah.
Dusty. Congratulations, Dusty. That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
exciting.
She's killing it. Super proud of her. And now we're going for the Roy Award, Rookie of the Year. Here we go. Right?
Yeah. And I saw you
That'll be
posted
the
something.
fourth.
So the fourth.
Yeah, this will be the fourth person I've been able to get to Rookie of the Year. So, and then Chris Brott on my team was number 7 by county. So we're doing well. It's been a good team culture, and it's been fun. And, we're just going out there and getting it.
So something's working.
Dusty's been, yeah, something's working, right? So
something is working.
Yeah.
I love the background in the story, though, because I think that's right. We all get into this industry for a reason or a why. And I guess I'm a little curious, what is your why? I know you promote a lot about financial freedom, and I think that's a lot of us can gravitate towards that. Is that your ultimate why, or do you have something else in that kind of your driving force to get up and make those calls?
I'd say 4 years ago, I got a call from one of my team members, and this was a series of calls. So I got 3 in a week, and this particular one called me and was just super happy with how much I had helped her and changed her life. And she's like, I never could have done this, but this is the 3rd call I got in a month. And I was like, wow, this is what drives me, is to give back to people and to see them be successful. And if you know any of my team members or talk to them, I'm always raw pushing and just, trying to do the right business and trying to get them to be successful. So my new why, obviously, I'm at financial freedom now, and I'm able to spend a lot of time with my kids and my wife because I've put in a lot of practice with getting good at my calls in the business. And now it's really about giving back. I think that's any person that's been successful in life, they want to give back. And I feel like I'm kind of at that point where I can coach, mentor, and get people to that next level, because you can turn commissions into financial freedom. And we are in such a good industry to do that. The most amount of millionaires in America are made through real estate, right? And we're right there sitting in the seat of that. So
very true. So we talked about prospecting and you just getting in the chair and just making the calls. In that respect, do you think that ultimately should be number one priority, in addition to all of the other internet presence that we're coached on and trained on, like social media and all of that? Would you agree that kind of builds up your brand and reputation? But at the end of the day, you really do, if you want a consistent flow of leads and all that stuff, to sit down and make those calls and dive.
Yeah, my guardian father said that it's a commission roller coaster, right? Where you're high, you got a bunch of escrows, and you go low and you're going back up. I always wanted mine to stay steady, and the only way I was going to do that is calling my sphere of influence, calling my past clients, and calling new leads that came in, whether that was canceled, expired, for sale by owners, or now we have internet leads as well that come in. So you absolutely, when you're first starting off, if you want to get going, you have to be disciplined to what you need to do, and those all have to be money-making activities, right? And that's generally centered around prospecting, whether that's calling, texting, emailing, or going to lunch with somebody. Then you have to be doing that. But I'm a big proponent of making those calls, especially in the beginning.
Definitely, no, for sure. Let's go a little bit deeper in the prospecting realm of it. So do you have multiple what are your sources of prospecting? We talked a little bit about sphere of influence. What is your your main funnels of prospecting or activities that you do, in addition to what are your lead generating pillars? What do those look like?
So when I first started in the business, is purely for sale by owners, right? And for sale by owners is fastest source of business opportunity, in my opinion. You can use that acronym all day long, but they're already raising their hands. They want to sell. A lot of them have a tough time. So I went from for sale by owners to canceled and expired, but at the same time I was meeting and greeting with my friends and sphere of influence. But you have to call those leads in order to really jumpstart your career.
For sure.
And
Yeah.
that-
And I think go ahead.
oh, go for it.
I was just gonna say, I think that's a great, a quick way to go from A to B in terms of getting comfortable with it. Because a lot of people or agents may not be comfortable with making those calls, those scripts, right? Get it out of the way, dive in. Right off the bat, just start working on that to change your languaging, understand how people work, what those objections are going to be, all that good stuff.
I think another huge thing is once you start closing that business, like you need to get reviews, right? And I think I have almost 300 reviews online. So a lot of those websites were just generating leads for me organically because of all the reviews I had in past sales. So a lot of times, like I would say 30% of my business, 40% started coming from referrals based on other people around town, people moving here, just seeing the reviews that I had, and I hammered that. So I got a review from everybody that I could. And that was generated I never bought any Zillow leads, realtor.com leads up until now, but I got a ton of leads off of those because I put money into having a good Google profile, having a good realtor.com and Zillow profile, and just making sure I was always getting those reviews.
For sure. Yeah. Again, I think that goes hand in hand with that online presence, right? The money generating or revenue generating tasks of prospecting, but in addition to having those other pieces, that's going to have, quote unquote, the proof of concept that obviously you know what you're doing and people have liked your service. So in terms of like, you prospect expireds as well? I think you said that. Okay, so just a little bit of context. Obviously, you don't have to give away like your exact script or whatever you use, but what would be your tactic or your angle of when you're calling some of those expired leads?
So I've never used scripts, right? And so if you came up, I'd say, "Hey, good morning, Justin. It's James Mitchell with Realty One Group. How are you today?" Right? So I'm using their name right away. Some coaches say, "Don't tell the brokerage that you're with," but we have a really good, strong brokerage here in town. So I'm really proud of that. We're number one in the marketplace, which is great. But I don't really set up with scripts, right? I mean, it's more question based than it is script based. Anybody can hear a script coming off your tongue, right? But if you genuinely want to know why they didn't sell, why they do want to sell, and you're just asking those questions, you build rapport a little bit faster. You show that you're an actual human being instead of just salesperson. So none of my stuff was based off of scripts. It was based off of questions and fact finding stuff to see what I could do to help them. So, I mean, you won't see any scripts. I mean, I have some that are like for my coaching that are laid out, but it circles back to like that first couple sentences and then it moves into question based prospecting at that point. So,
yeah, no, and so maybe more towards those digging questions, right? Understanding just what situation they're in right now. Cool, you're selling. So where do you plan on moving after you sell? Things like that of going in a little bit deeper in the conversation, building that trust, breaking down that hard wall that we've all, I think, experienced at some point with those objections. Being human.
Hey, Justin, I saw that you're on the market for 135 days. Why didn't the property sell? What was going on with that? Well, this. Do you feel like you could have gotten it sold if it was priced right or communication was better? Well, yeah. Okay. Tell me a little bit about that. And then the questions go based off of what they said. So it's also active listening, right? Like listening to what they're saying and talking to them. I'm not taking notes the entire time I'm talking to them because I feel like that takes me away from the actual conversation, but I'm remembering a lot of what they say. And then after the phone call, put those notes in and have it be follow-up. I also don't want everybody to think that like every time I got on the phone, I just landed appointment after appointment. Like a lot of these are set up for follow-up and nurtures, right? So anybody that you call, it's going to take eight to 15 times to be able to get them to work with you. So a lot of times it was more follow-up calls, putting in my calendar and following up with them afterwards. And generally most agents will call 3 to 5 times where I'm going to call 8 to 15 and just touch base. And a lot of people say, the persistence has paid off and I want to work with you at this point. So
for sure, the persistence and consistency. And Jeff made a comment in the box and saying, no yes or no questions, right? Or that's the quickest way to just end that conversation is through those yes or no questions, more that open-ended and just genuinely and authentically being curious, right? I think they can tell that in the tone, and they can tell that maybe you're not using a script in that sense because you're just more so just having that one-on-one conversation, just like you would with a friend.
Yeah.
or something like that. But obviously it takes time, if you're just starting out for the first time or you really haven't dialed per se, it could maybe feel overwhelming. But
Yeah.
I would think you would agree that that kind of, obviously it gets easier. Everything gets easier as you continue to practice.
Dude, and that's what I tell everybody on my team. I'm like, and my coaching students, I'm like, the more at bats you get, the better it's going to be, the easier it's going to be. And just like Wayne Gretzky says, you got to skate to where the puck is, not or is going to be, not where it is, right? So if they lead into, we don't really want to sell right now, but our daughter is in Indiana and be really cool. Okay, cool. Tell me about your daughter in Indiana. What makes you want to go there, right? Don't stop at, we don't really want to sell right now. Because a lot of people are like, okay, when's a good time to follow back up with you if you don't want to sell? No,
Right.
touch base on why is Indiana important, right? Like skate to where that puck is going, and that puck is at Indiana right now. You need to see if you can bring it home to the goal at that point.
Yeah, like making a friend. You're just making a friend.
Yep.
So I just because prospecting isn't anything new. With any business, we need more clients, we need prospecting, but switching a little bit more to maybe the social media online presence versus maybe some other marketing pieces like direct mail or physical pieces. What's your take, on the digital world versus the traditional marketing stuff that we've seen or traditional agent style that we've seen and kind of blending it in 2023, 2024?
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up because that's exactly where we're moving our team is to blending more of that stuff because more and more people are moving online. And a lot of people will think that they got their reviews, they got their leads from Google. That's not the case. What happened is your friend referred you to this person. The person then went to Zillow and then went to Google to look at your reviews. And then it shows as if you got that lead from Google. So, but you have to have a strong online presence when it comes to reviews. You have to have your Google screen set up. You got to have like all the platforms that refer agents as well. You got to have those to be strong. And then what you do is you take those leads, you put them back into your CRM and you nurture those leads, right? And that's when you do the calls, that's when you do the letters, etc. And you had touch base on like mailings, right? I picked up like 3 or 4 properties just from sending out mailers. Hey, I'm interested in buying this, or if you want to sell, let us know. And so I'd get a lot of calls on that. But that's strategic marketing. I'm not just blasting everybody. I'm looking at how long have they owned the house, how much equity do they have. And when it comes to leads, like if you talk to any good person on converting leads, most of those are all high equity lists, right? Or they've been in the house a certain amount of time. So I don't believe in the shotgun approach. I believe in the sniper approach, going after it using data that actually shows when this person's going to sell and when they're not going to sell. And then the other thing is I don't believe the websites that say, oh, I'll get you 10 qualified seller leads a year or a month. It's like, oh yeah, then I'm sure everybody would be doing that, right? Sounds too good to be true. It's too good to be true. And there's no elevator to success. It's step by step, and you got to learn and journal everything that you're doing. So, yeah.
For sure. I love that you brought up being more strategic with the data because I think that, a lot of times that's where we find discouragement is when we just do a blanket mailing or we just, it's a shotgun approach and just throw it out there. And then we get disappointed when nothing comes back in it, when we can take a little bit of extra time and just have some strategy behind it. I mean, there's title companies, Rock Title can get you a list with that high equity through Title Pro 247 or right. Just kind of think of it, be a little bit more strategic on who your ideal audience is. You don't want to send it to somebody who literally just moved into their new home or anything like that. There's a lot of data points that you can kind of pinpoint in just kind of your ideal audience of who you want to be in front of.
Yeah, and to touch base on that, like the title companies are a great resource for that data, but you need to screen that data, skip trace it, and make sure that you're getting all the right phone numbers. I mean, I've gotten data from title companies and other companies, and then all the phone numbers are bad, or you get like 10% that are correct, right? That'll kill your motivation faster than anything in sales is having the wrong data.
Yeah.
So you take that data, then you skip trace it, and then you put it into your do not call list and whatever, and then you get those phone numbers, emails, and then you're good to go after that. So there's a few more steps that you have to take to make sure you're getting the right data and you're making sure that you're not getting burnt out on bad data.
Definitely, yeah. Because again, you're just just filling that discouragement or defeat is just the quickest way to exit this business for
Yes.
sure. So, the goal always when I'm like, talking with agents or anything like that is how can we get you a win quickly so that you can keep that motivation, right? Once we find that one thing and we have a win, it literally changes our whole perspective and mindset. And all of a sudden we're remotivated and right, we just want to keep that going. So just being strategic with your prospecting and data and all that stuff.
Yeah, and that doesn't go for yourself. That goes for your team members too. Like when you get new team members, you need to get them a win as soon as possible because there's statistics on this, but the faster they get that win, the faster they're gonna succeed and the longer they're gonna stay in the business.
For sure. Let's pivot a little bit towards seller leads. I think I know the answer based on what we've talked about already, but let's talk about a little bit more. What would be your advice to an agent right now to capture more seller leads, right? We're still a little short on inventory and all that good stuff. And obviously we want to work more with sellers. What would be your advice?
Yeah, for me, I developed a plan called the neighborhood domination plan. And so I picked a neighborhood that's close by me that I marketed to. I pulled all the phone numbers for them and I called through it, sent some mailers to the warm ones. I made over $500,000 on doing that in 18 months. So pulling a neighborhood that you really like, doing your canceled, expired, and for sale by owner calls, and then just doing neighborhood calling with high equity list as well. And I mean, there's absentee, there's rentals, there's pre foreclosures. Like there's so many leads out there for us to be successful with. And really, all you need is like 15 to 20 of those to make a good living in real estate. I'm not saying call your tail off every single day, but once you get the ball rolling with those leads that are coming in and the warmer they are, the less time you're going to have to spend on it, the better you're going to be at converting and the less money you're going to spend on putting into marketing. Most of the stuff was done through sweat equity, putting in the work.
Yep, got to put in the work. So I guess the takeaway of or the topic that we're kind of getting to today is grab a list, start prospecting, make calls, and you see your pipeline start building. But in talking with, just taking the time and scheduling that time to make those calls, being disciplined to make those calls and to start. Do you time block? How does your scheduling look like? Like, do you time block certain things during the day, times of the day? What does that look like?
Yeah, so my schedule would look like I would be in the office by 7. I would start making my calls to the new canceled expireds and for sale by owners at anywhere between 7:45 and 8 o'clock in the morning, right? Because those are the new ones. And I kept getting beat out by another guy in the market. Like, oh, well, he called me at 7:30. He called me at 7:45. I'm like, what the heck? And you're the first person to call usually has a like 50% better chance of getting that listing, right? And in my community, it's a lot of older people and they like that hungry, get out there, go get it. And they're up at 4 o'clock in the morning already. So it's afternoon by 8 o'clock in the morning for them. Um, so it would be from 7:45 to about 11 o'clock is when I do my prospecting. 11 to 12 would be like eating lunch with my family, getting ready for the next appointment. And then from 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock would be list, or 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock would be listing appointments and or stopping and having coffee with some clients or friends, right? During that time. So time blocking was huge for me. And nobody would interrupt me. It didn't matter who was calling me, except for my wife. I'd pick up for my wife, but that's about it. So, but from 7:45 to 11, I was prospecting. 11 to 12, I was spending a little bit of time with my family, getting lunch, and then from 12 to 6 o'clock, doing listing appointments or doing some door knocking around me from other canceled, expired listings that were there. So
yeah, I think I've recently been talking a lot more about time blocking and scheduling time with them with themselves because differentiating ourselves, sales and operations, and there's so much that goes into our business. But if we don't have any concrete schedule, or at least something to go off of, we're just flying by the seat of our pants and not really getting anything productive done. We feel busy because we're doing a lot of stuff, but it's not necessarily revenue generating tasks that's going to take us from point A to point B. So, I think adopting a strong calendar and time blocking would be gold, especially from now to the end of the year to get 2024 pipeline going.
And that's when you want to do it is now. And you can do this 4 days a week. You could do it Monday through Thursday and then, dabble or just call the new leads that come in on Friday and Saturday if you want to do that. Take 15 minutes, but you're getting your pipeline going. And then Friday could be as easy as just doing some follow-up calls with some people and then taking the time off. There'd be a lot of days where if I didn't have an appointment set for Friday or Saturday, then I would, just relax with my family and try to recharge the batteries. So I know it sounds like I was really robotic and I went after it, but I was also having a lot of fun. And at times it was like that, but hustle's a season, not a lifetime. So you hustle for 5 years, you can live if you hustle for 5 years of your life, you'll live like nobody else for the rest of your life, is my take on it.
Yeah. Because again, going back to time blocking, so you don't feel that defeat or burnout, that balance between family and all that stuff. Is that something that you strongly, kept to in your business, is making sure that you had that balance? And
Yeah.
do you think that the time blocking part of it and just owning your schedule, not letting your schedule own you kind of mindset was where you found success?
Huge. Yeah. And if you guys, there's a book called The Miracle Morning for Real Estate Agents. That's a great book. I've read it like 4 or 5 times. And it's all about making your schedule so that, because if you don't control your schedule, your clients control your schedule or somebody else controls your schedule besides you. So if you're not controlling that, somebody else is going to. And the other part of that is you work when you're at work and you spend time with your family when you're with family. And I found that to take a lot of pressure off of me. So, because I knew I got the work done, I know what I needed to do. And then the rest of the time could be spent with my kids and my wife or another activity that I wanted to do.
Definitely. So I keep talking about we're towards the end of Q3, we're about to jump into Q4. What would be your advice to an agent now, whether, a single agent or an agent maybe thinking about joining a team? What can they do today to help them finish the year strong? Maybe they're close to their goals, maybe they're nowhere near their goals, but they want to go all in the next 90 days. What can they do? What would be your advice?
Oh man, that's a great question.
Yeah.
So it would start off with time blocking for Monday through Thursday on what activities you're going to do, which are going to be all revenue generating activities, which would be your calls. Also, I would be going to lunch or coffee with one new client or a friend for Monday through Thursday. And then I would set up a client appreciation event or an appreciation event for your friends for November or December. And I know it can be busy, but Benjamin Franklin said, if you want something done, go to somebody that's busy. And so everybody's already in that mode of being busy. So you could give them one other thing to do, where you do a pie drop off. And then a lot of people across the United States, like they tend to list in March, April, May, right? So you want to have another client appreciation event in February or March. That way you're the first person that gets thought of when they're going to list. So build out your schedule, set up your call list that you want to do, go to lunch or coffee with one client or friend for that 90 days and just stick to being super strict with your schedule, and then build out your online presence as well. Whether that's you're going to do a YouTube channel, you're going to build up your reviews on Zillow, Realtor.com. You have to start that stuff early. And if you do it now for fourth quarter, your fourth quarter is what's going to determine your first and second quarter of next year. So, and you might not get a lot of signed listing agreements. You may not get a lot of closed escrows in that 3 months, but I promise you Q1 and Q2, that's when that stuff will be going, because you're planting the seeds, right? And then the seeds are going to grow in spring. Then you're going to be able to harvest spring and summer at that point. So you always want to keep your pipeline full by revenue activities. So
yeah, and I think too, like setting the expectation of knowing that it may take 90 days to start seeing those things drop. So taking the time to plant those seeds now, so then you can recoup those benefits, obviously starting in Q1. And in addition to that, just building that habit, right? I mean, most of us don't time block or have that schedule, but building those small habits now, by the end of the year, by the beginning of the year, now it's just going to be what you do. It's just a normal practice for you. And you're past that kind of, it's a lot of work, or it just, getting in the groove of actually getting that as part of your schedule. So again, starting it now is going to affect what your Q1 and Q2 definitely looks like.
Yeah, and if you build it, it's like when you go to the gym, like you're not going to see results after the first, second, third, fourth week. It's going to take a little while. I mean, I've been on the roller coaster of gym time and waiting, and then finally people are like, "Oh, you're looking good. Oh, you're this, you're that." Like it takes a little bit of time. I think the most important thing to what you're saying, Justin, is if you do it in this 90 days, you're going to take really good habits into the beginning of the year. It's like everybody that wants to go to the gym January 1st, they do it for a couple weeks and then they burn out, right? There's just so much more that comes onto your plate. But build it while times are slow. Build it while you have a little bit more time to think, your think time, what you can really get the activities going and think through what you want your plan to be for the next Q1 and Q2, and start building the muscle memory on what you're going to be doing every morning. And the other thing is be upfront with your family on what your goals are, because if your family doesn't know what your goals are, and then all of a sudden you're being super strict, they're going to be like, whoa, it's going to be a culture shock, right? So be upfront with them on what your expectations are of yourself and of them going forward into the new year.
I love that too, that you brought that up, because I think, that one helps the whole balance situation of owning your own business and, business and family time, but also it kind of sets that expectation to reduce those distractions. So if you're openly having these discussions with your family, your wife, your kids, your spouse, whoever, and they know that in the morning between, this time and that time, dad, mom, whoever it is, they're at work, they're working. And then I know that they're going to take a break, they're going to have lunch with us, right? Kind of having that balance, but then reducing that chance of distraction or the culture shock, like you said. Obviously we don't want to do that.
No.
So we talked a little bit about gearing up for the new year. Would your advice be similar looking in 2024 if somebody was sitting down to do a business plan and they're talking about budgets, maybe marketing, different types of marketing, they're prospecting, all that kind of stuff? Would your advice kind of be the same of what we talked about with prospecting? And obviously we should start doing that now to prepare for the first of the year. How do you typically do your business planning for the new year?
I build out a vision board, and the vision board says exactly what I want to get in the next year. And that's, what am I going to give to other people? What do I want to obtain? And what are the activities I'm going to do in order to get to those goals for myself? And then we look at a budget and we say, hey, we can spend $10,000 a month, and this is what the budget's going to go towards. It's going to go towards new leads. It's going to go towards our calling systems. It's going to go towards our CRM. This is the amount of money we can put towards our client appreciation events. This is what we can put towards stamps and envelopes and letters. And this is what we can put towards maybe getting a second assistant to help us with this. And I think and we missed on one key point. You're not going to do this alone, and never think that you're going to do this alone. You have to have a really good team, or you got to have a really good assistant to help you with all of this stuff. You have to have a good transaction coordinator. You got to have a really good wife that can jump in on this, or husband. And so you need to find not what, but who, not how, right? So you need to find who can help you get to this next level, because you're basically one activity or one person away from being able to reach your goals. So think about, in this next 90 days, who can help you get to that spot.
Would you say that's true? Would you say that's true for like vendor partners as well?
Vendor? Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Who are you guys looking at that's going to help you get to your goals in the new year, right? You're looking at different agents. You're looking at different, like, you're looking to see where you're going to put your budget. You're looking to see who you need to rub elbows with, what meetings you need to go to, what nonprofit organizations you need to volunteer at to get your name out there. Like, it's the same thing. It's just, we sell real estate. You guys get escrows, right? So it's the same thing. But definitely. You cold called me, right, on your way to Hawaii? Was that you?
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
So yeah, and that was a cold call. I didn't know who you were, and you did it, and here we are talking now. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah. And that's just a token of everyone on the call. Like, don't be afraid. You never know when. Sure, somebody might say no, and now you're one more no closer to your yes, right? So you never know what opportunity is going to pop up.
or you're one more no closer to them saying yes, because what were you gonna just let me go after that? Maybe not, maybe not. But
Most
you
likely
probably would
not.
have followed up with me a couple more times, right? So
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. Would you
Shout
be
out to Victoria Duke over there too. Victoria Duke's been killing it. Good job, Victoria. She's up for Realtor of the Year.
nice?
Congratulations.
Good job. She unmuted. I didn't know if she was gonna say something. Um, so we talked about really like expireds, all those different lists. Do you subscribe to certain software, technology? Are you open to sharing maybe what you use?
Yeah. So we're switching over to a new CRM, which Victoria, what's the name of the new CRM real quick?
It's Nextbound.
Nextbound. So what we're trying to do is incorporate more AI into our
Love that.
CRM. We've been using Follow Up Boss, which is great, but they don't have as many capabilities as this new one. And so we want an AI that's going to help us set appointments. And then we use Mojo calling systems for our dialer. The CRM has that as well. And then we use PropStream batch leads for getting our leads, getting the right information. And then for our canceled expireds and neighborhood dialer, our neighborhood information, we use Vulcan 7 as well, which is the best data that you're going to get out there. And it's probably one of the more expensive, but I learned early on, I kept losing out on these listings, and I'm like, would reach out to the guy that kept beating me. How are you doing this? It's like, oh, I use Vulcan 7. So I'm not just calling bad numbers all the time. I'm getting the good ones. And I switched over and my conversion picked up by 50% after that.
I've heard great things about Vulcan 7. So
Yeah.
No, that's good to hear that you're using that too. Let's see. Does anybody have any questions as we're going through this? I mean, hopefully you guys are taking notes. These are some really good gold points in here. But let's talk about maybe one thing that you found through all of your years doing this business, right? Ups and downs. That's just been monumental in your success. Like, at what point did a complete shift happen and all of a sudden, I know in the beginning you talked about just sitting down and starting to dial, but is that like the pivoting point of when your business really took off, or has there been one thing or a couple of things that just had been monumental for your business success, and that redoing it or maybe just starting out, you would immediately do those things?
I would never be shady. Like I never did a deal that I didn't feel comfortable with and that like I was doing the wrong stuff. I was really always upfront. And I think that got me a lot more business that way and more referrals. The other thing was hiring a transaction coordinator and assistant was huge for me because it allowed me to go after money making activities rather than doing the paperwork stuff. And I do not like paperwork. Paperwork does not pay my bills. Paperwork does not buy me new rental properties, does not get my wife a new car, does not put food on the table. Paperwork is no, I'm just not that type of person. And then I would say building a team around me that was supportive and really good with being able to take on any excess business I had. And not only that, real estate is very boring if you're a lone wolf. And I found that to be the case for me where I was just like, oh my gosh, this kind of sucks. Like, I wish I had other people around me. So building a culture in around me with the right people was huge, and it made it more fun. It held me more accountable to others. And like the other day, Victoria sent me a text and say, hey, I called this cancel expired, and he said he's already interviewing 4 other agents. I'm not going to interview anybody else. Can you give him a call, see if you can land it? What I do, I landed the appointment. She went on the appointment. She got him to sign with her and she was the 5th agent, right? That filled my bucket so much, man. And it made me more accountable to my skills and to my practices. And it made me more accountable to help her and her family get to the next spot too.
I love that. That's awesome. Congratulations, Victoria. That's
Yeah,
huge.
she killed it. That was a big win. Good job.
And I was almost going to talk about that and bring that up when you kept talking about accountability. So, because it can be a very lonely industry if you're just out there trying to hustle and bustle and do it yourself. And, really, who's going to hold you accountable, right? We got to surround ourselves with those that are kind of on that same path or have the same goals and mindset, are positive, have a strong why. So James, do you find that those that you've surrounded yourself with and now team members, are they your accountability partner? How do you stay accountable?
Yeah, they are. Yep. Absolutely. but my biggest accountability partner is me, right? I'm the one that has to look in the mirror every day and say, did you do enough? Did you do this? Did you set yourself up for success? And a lot of times when I look in the mirror, I want to know that I gave it my all for that day and that I can go play travel with my daughter and son or play battle with them without having to think about more work. So my biggest accountability partner is myself. And then second is obviously my family. And then third is my team, and fourth is God. So yeah.
Love it. So as we're about 43 minutes in, and I want to make sure we have some time for some questions and just open it up to everybody. But what would be one or two things that you would a message that you would leave with the agents on the call, whether they're seasoned, they're brand new, going into the end of the year, starting a new year, the way that the market's been is where we're headed. What would be kind of your message to them?
I think there's a lot of dumb tax that we have to pay when we first get going or when we're trying to start something new. And you don't have to pay that dumb tax if you get a mentor or a coach or you lean into the other people that are already doing it at a high level. And so reaching out to those people and saying, hey, how can I go from A to Z faster than other people? And so you want to find, again, a coach, a mentor, somebody that's been there already to do that. And the other thing is just you have to stay disciplined in your business practices. And remember, when you work a 9-to-5 job, you have 9 to 5 hours and you have 9 to 5 things that you have to do. And so that's no different than what your real estate career is. There's stuff that you have to do and there's stuff that needs to get done. And you put lead generating and revenue making activities first and foremost of those.
Definitely. And so I think, as we close this out, I've been talking a lot about just not consuming information, knowledge, and content, but actually putting it into action, right? We can learn as much as we want to learn, but if we never actually put it into action, we're not going to see any results. So I would encourage everybody to go through and do that time blocking. And just like what James has said, Monday through Thursday, from 7 a.m. to 11 or 7:45 to 11, right? Make that for the next 90 days. Understand holidays are coming up. You're going to have some family time. Cool. But even if you did half of it in the next 90 days, that's more than what you would have already done. And you're still going to reap results from that there. But I just want to make sure you guys take something away from this today and actually put it into action or try to incorporate it into your business. Do you want to add to that?
Yeah, two things to that, right? Distractions are going to be your biggest killer to your success, right? Whether that's YouTube, Instagram, other people, like the biggest threat to anybody's business is the distractions that are around us. And there's more distractions than there's ever been. The second thing is you said like the holidays are coming up. So if you can take the time, like the good thing about the holidays is people are home. So they'll pick up their phones, right? And so it's a better time to get a hold of them than it's ever going to be for the next 3 months. Otherwise, they're off and running of starting the first of the year. Contact people while they're home. I mean, I can't tell you how many listings and potential or clients I picked up during the holidays because I made the calls. We still have to work. Like just because it's the last 3 months of the year, it doesn't mean that we can take it off. So yeah.
Yeah, it's go time. It's not vacation time necessarily. It's go time, right? You're gonna have that balance, but this is a time that we definitely need to ramp up and put in those revenue generating tasks. I'm gonna open up to questions. Does anyone want to? I mean, he's been a complete open book for us. So does anybody have questions for James? Maybe other tools that he uses, strategies, just something maybe that you need help with in your business? Go and throw it in the chat box. And James, while we're waiting on that, how can they get a hold of you?
I think Paulette has a question. So Financial Free Realtor on YouTube and then Facebook, and then I'll put you guys can, if you want to put my phone number and my email in there, which is mitchnercoaching@gmail.com for any other questions. If you give it to my Mitchner03, I get like 200 a day, so it's hard to get back to all of this.
mitchnercoaching@gmail.com.
Yep.
So I'm going to add that in there. I'll get your phone number there. And you said Paula had a question?
I do.
Go ahead, Paula.
I do. And I apologize. I have construction going on at my house, so I didn't hear everything. But what I heard was awesome. Number one, is it going to be recorded and we can find it on Rock Title?
Yes, yep, it'll be
Okay.
up. I'll get this one up in the next couple of hours because I know everyone's gonna want to go back and watch it.
Okay, and then my other question was, whoops, let me go, I'm going back and forth here. My other question was, so you get the brand new expired or canceled, and
Yep.
you said you'd like to be the first one to have called them.
Yep.
How, I know Rock Title will give you a list of names and phone numbers that have been scrubbed through do not call list, but how do you get that number so quickly? That's my question.
What happens is Vulcan 7 works on that in the evening, and so they push it to your calling system by like 5 o'clock in the morning. And they do scrub it. You can have them do the do not call list and whatnot for you. But you go Vulcan 7, and then you can call directly through Vulcan 7 if you want. And if you text me or email me, I can give you a link to their thing as well. And those phone numbers can then get transferred into Mojo, or you can call them directly from Vulcan 7, whichever you want to do.
So that's another outside service, Vulcan 7? that you
Yes.
use?
Yep. It's the
Okay.
best data you'll get around. So
Got it. Thank you so
Yep.
much.
You're welcome, Paulette. Good luck with your construction.
Yes.
Yeah, I get it. I've been there.
Any other questions, guys? Great question, Paula. Any other questions? This is the time. We're just all eager to get to work.
Can you
Victoria,
share some of the best ideas for scripting on those calls?
Scripting on those calls. So I talked about that early in there, but ours is more based on like you have an intro for your first like three sentences, right? Like, hey Victoria, it's James Mitchell with Realty One. How are you? Good. Hey, I saw your property came off the market. What's going on with that? And then we move more into a question-based prospecting rather than a scripting based, right? So just digging for those answers through questions and playing off of that and making sure that we're building rapport while we're on the phone. So that's one thing that has been super successful for me is I'm able to keep people on the phone and get them to divulge a lot more information. I mean, I can't tell you how many times somebody picks up the phone and we talk and they're like, man, I hung up on the 4 other people like almost immediately. And then I'm talking to you. I don't know. Why don't you just come over this afternoon and we'll see what we can do. So it's just by building that rapport and making sure that you're question based. And I do have some live recordings on Financial Free Realtor as well on some prospecting calls that we've done, both failures and successes as well. So you can see how both those work.
Awesome. And Jeff, I think put the your YouTube link in the chat box as well, so everybody can go there, subscribe, so don't make sure you don't miss any of that content coming from there. Gloria, do you have a question?
Yeah, so I get some reports from title company about NOS, but I'm not sure those numbers, how can I explain? I don't know those numbers, how can I explain? Like I get the list and they're like, oh, you can call them and get some leads from that, but I don't know the meaning of NOS. That makes sense?
Yeah, notice of sale, right? So those are going to be pre-foreclosure, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. And do you think that are kind of accurate, or I just don't want to get frustrated like before making those phone calls and probably adding the right number?
There's
you
a
don't-
ton of companies that'll offer those. So you just want to make sure you're going to the most reputable company,
Mhm.
which is it Zip Titan or is it Titan?
I'm not sure.
Okay. We've used Zip Titan in the past, me and Victoria have in our team. They've been good, right? I mean, they've been okay. So, yeah.
Okay.
But I would go through Vulcan 7 if you can, because Vulcan will give you pre-foreclosures, for sale by owners, cancel expireds, notice of defaults, and all of those as well. And then
Nice.
there's some good companies for estates, like probates on estates, which are great as well. So I mean, dude, there's so much I could go. It could take me all day long to go through all this stuff, but yeah.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thank you so much.
But feel free to reach out to me, okay, Gloria?
Yeah, I will. Thanks.
I just threw Vulcan 7's website in the chat box there if you guys want to go take a look and see what their pricing is, what they offer, all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, guys. Anything else? Any other questions? It's great questions. All right, this is recorded, so it will be on the Rock University YouTube channel. I did say I was going to do a giveaway. So I'm going to think of a number between 1 and 11, and the first two to pick that number, I will, and throw it in the chat box, I will send you that gift card. So think of a number. All right. No one's got it yet.
Rochelle
All right.
took my 3.
Oh man, what was 7? So Paul, who got it? Julie and Angela was first. Oh,
Nice.
I know. I should have done 11, right? Real to one group, but 7. So Julie and Angela. I'm gonna take a photo of this because you know this memory. All right, here we go. Perfect. Awesome. And you guys have James's contact information, phone number, email is in there. So please, if you want to have further conversation with James, what him and his team are doing, coaching, all that good stuff, please reach out to him. And he'll be able to discuss that for you. James, I can't thank you enough for being willing to jump on and kind of a short notice and be willing to share how you've had success and some of your wins with prospecting, all that good stuff. So we really, really do appreciate you.
Absolutely. I love this kind of stuff. It's fun. So
Cool deal. And
Yep.
do you guys like this style maybe a little bit more like not interview style, but like Q&A kind of, and just with successful agents that have found, you know, what's working for them? Yes. Okay, cool.
It was amazing. Yes.
Good. All right. So maybe we're incorporate this more, and maybe I can beg James to come back next month or another time, because I know there's a lot more that we could talk about for sure. Like he said, we can go on for a long time. So thank you,
Cool.
Sam. I appreciate
and
that.
if you're in the Prescott market, remember, vote Victoria Duke for Realtor of the Year. So
There you go.
yeah.
Get to it, guys. All right. Do something productive. Take care, everyone. We'll see you in the next training and hopefully in escrow very, very soon. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
too.
Thank you so much.